Okay, let's get started. Hello everybody, I'm Sangeeta Mudnal. I'm a Principal PM Manager in the Excel team. And just a quick intro, my team, the PM team, helps ship the Excel for Mac and Excel for iOS. So iPhone and iPad in the last couple of years. And currently I'm working on making sure the overall Excel team is data-driven on various initiatives and using telemetry in our day-to-day work, and also being customer connected in fundamentally different ways. So yeah, it's been an exciting journey. I started Microsoft 15 years ago. I started in Office and had a full circle, and I'm back in Office, and I love it so far. So as you can see, I'm going to do my whole presentation on my iPhone. So if you guys, all of the apps, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, are free for any of the mobile devices. So just go ahead and install it from the App Store, and you can get started. So in terms of the agenda, I will quickly cover what our cross-platform strategy is, and also talk about our vision of why cross-platform, why shared code, and how it benefits our customers eventually, right? It's especially like sorry, I got distracted. Especially for professionals like you, especially when it comes to BI features or analyst features. How do we make sure that as part of our shared code across all these cross-platform, how do we deliver that value as quickly as possible? And so that's kind of where I'll talk a little bit about the cross-platform strategy and our vision around that. There's quite a few demos that I will cover for phones, tablets, and Mac. There's an Excel Online. I'll give a quick overview on that. There's a deep dive session tomorrow, which Ellie Schwartz here, he's here in the room, and he'll cover that tomorrow. And then what's next in mobile? So I'll give you a sneak peek into what we are thinking about in terms of our vision for mobile scenarios moving forward. There's been a tremendous amount of work done in the past 2 years, but what are we thinking next? So I'm kind of share some early thinking there. Okay, so since we have invested in the cross-platform strategy for over 2 years, I wanted to give an overview of how we are doing in the space. So as you can see, we've had over 100 million downloads for Office, and then 30 million downloads for Outlook. This is like some old numbers, like 3-4 months old. So definitely there's been much more downloads than ever before, and so we are really, really happy that customers are really embracing productivity apps on all types of devices. And then we have great adoption of Office 365, our cloud service, with our Fortune 500 companies. So that's just kind of a quick view of how we are doing in this space. This is kind of a recap. Exactly around 2 years ago, my team shipped Office for iPad, so Excel for iPad. And here I am 2 years later talking about that. And also, as you can see over the last couple of months, how we have shipped on iOS, Android, Universal, Office 2016 for Windows, Mac, and then Excel Online. And the key thing is now we are doing monthly updates on each of these platforms. And so that, as you can imagine, is a huge transformation for us. We made a lot of investment in our tools, our infrastructure, and especially our shared code, so that we can ship client apps on a monthly basis, and a lot of those are like varying platforms. So one of the key things about this is, as part of this engineering agility and the business agility, what has happened is we are much in tune with our customer requests, our customer feedback. So for example, at excel.uservoice.com, every PM in the Excel team is actually looking at feedback coming through Send a Smile, through Excel User Voice. It's helping shape our backlog on a monthly basis. So I encourage you to keep providing feedback for all the endpoints, and we look at it very proactively, and that helps shape our backlog. And the good news is, since we can now ship monthly, we can actually deliver value to customers on an ongoing basis, especially for Office 365 customers. And you don't have to wait like 2 or 3 years to get that new features and that new value. So anyways, this is kind of a really great transformation for us, and we are very excited, and moving forward we'll do even more in this space. Quick question, how many Excel native apps we support today? Any guesses? 2, 10, 15? Native apps is like which platforms, like the experiences that you get on the various platforms. Apps run on iOS, Android, web, yeah. Okay, so it's 9. 7 native apps plus 2 web apps. As you can see, we support all of that, and we have a backlog for each of these platforms. So I talked about the strategy around tools and infrastructure and how we made that really support the agility that we want. And then as it comes to shared code, some of the considerations that I wanted to kind of talk about is that goes into our planning is user expectations. So we know user expectations around Office apps is they want the familiar UI. They don't need any learning curve. And then the next thing is like when it comes to mobile devices, they want to finish their tasks and scenarios quickly and with a lot of confidence. So we have to have all of that in the background as we are planning to get these apps built on different platforms. The other is UI consistency, as I just mentioned. Is very critical to our users, but at the same time, the challenge comes when you want to make it platform appropriate. So OS X or iOS versus Android, how do we leverage the platform capabilities yet stay true to the Office brand? And so that are some of the day-to-day discussions we have and experiences that we test with our customers to get that shared code really right. And so when it comes to shared code, there's always a healthy tension of how much custom code you want to have per platform and how much you want to have shared code, because the more shared code you have, it enables us to ship features on all of these endpoints in a very similar time frame. So yeah, question.
What's MWAC?
Mobile web access, web experience, yep. So though, on your mobile phones when you still have a web experience, yeah. And then, like the value to all of you and the customers is you get a lot of features and consistency across all the endpoints. And so that's kind of why this is a big thing for us, and we have kind of really, invested in this pretty much, 100%. Okay, so going into Office for Mac, how many people have Excel for Mac 2016? And Mac 2011, Excel for Mac 2011? Okay, and Mac users generally? Okay, few. So basically, I'll kind of give a quick overview about like for Mac what we have done in the past year and what are the BI and analytics features we have shipped. Might be applicable few of you here, but when you go back to your organization, you can definitely tell the story of how Office for Mac and Excel for Mac is becoming a first-class citizen for us, and how we are making tremendous feature investments in that area. Like I said, as we talked about the user considerations, the UI consistency, yet making sure Mac users are very passionate. We want to make sure that the apps become live when it comes to using Mac and Office apps. And then as part of our Office 365 strategy, you want things to be cloud connected so you can access your documents anytime and anywhere. So some quick quotes on how Office for Mac has landed. It landed, this was shipped last July, and it has we got really good press and really good customer feedback. As you can see, like right here, Microsoft Excel is definitely a star of the show. And I'm going to show some demos about the features that we have enabled in Mac Excel. But also, like if you see, the last point here is it brings a lot of welcome improvements to the workhorse spreadsheet, but also leaves out useful tools. So we know that so we are pretty grounded in the fact that Mac Excel compared to Windows Excel, there's still a lot of delta in terms of functionality, and as we make investments to our shared code, we hope to close that gap. So Mac Excel can be, in terms of feature parity as much as what you can get in Windows Excel today. Okay, so for those who are on Windows, you've seen all of these features, but I'll do a quick view of that on Mac, because that's all new for Mac 2016. The last time we shipped Mac for Excel for Mac, that was in 2011. So we have caught up on a lot of this thing. So I just want to kind of call out some of the features and demo this, so you can take some of these learnings back to your organization. Okay, so this is my Mac right now. And then looking at the modern UI, we made a ton of investments in making sure that this whole ribbon, the sheet tab experience, all of that is very similar to Windows Excel. If you go to 2011, it's a mishmash of commands and ribbon, and we heard from our customers that that really doesn't work for them. So we did a tremendous amount of work to get this UI look and feel. We also have, as I mentioned, we want to be platform appropriate. So you can't see this here, but it's Retina optimized display here. We enable that full screen mode, as you can see, so we can take up the whole space. And then there's a lot of the Mac has a lot of the trackpad gestures, which again you can see, but I'm using my fingers on the trackpad and pinching to zoom in, zoom out, and then using my two fingers to scroll up and down. So these are all of the things that Mac users kind of usually use in their typical workflow, and so they were super delighted when we kind of enabled some of these basic things. Then moving on to keyboard shortcuts. As we know, Excel users really love keyboard shortcuts, and that makes them really, really efficient. So we did a lot of work to get to keyboard shortcuts compatibility between Windows and Mac. So not only you have command control, command options, shortcut keys, but also control, which is something that Windows users are used to. And so when you move to Mac, you want to kind of have that functionality. So there's a long list. This file is actually available on blogs.office.com. So if you want to go back and see all this new functionality is available right there. And so anyway, so that's kind of how we are again optimizing for both the Windows users look and feel that they want for Office, and yet really making sure the Mac users are still efficient in their workflows. Pivot table slicers. So yes, in Mac, we didn't have slicers until 2016. So that was a top ask for pivot table. So you can just pick your year, the gold medals, and there you have very similar experiences that you can get for pivot table slicer. So that's out there. Formula builders. So we have a new formula builder experience. So as you can see on the right side, this is we invest a ton of work to do a lot of the task panes. So if you have the Windows experience today, it is kind of a UI that kind of blocks the spreadsheet behind it. So we got feedback, and we have a lot of the task pane workflows. As you can see, it has the various use cases, the definitions, how to, step-by-step instructions, and so customers really like this kind of formula builder experience. Then moving into data analysis tool pack. So this was our number one ask from students. They use data analysis tool pack a lot in their student and university curriculum. And so we kind of enabled this in 2016. So you can just go do kind of data. This is just an add-in you can pick, and then say, suppose you want to do a histogram experience, it will pick the input range. It can pick the bin range. You can have an output range where you want to put it, and if you want to have a chart output. And you can click that. So there you have the data displayed in terms of the bin and the frequency. And if you, this is the chart here, the histogram. And since all of this is kind of native experience, if I click there, right here, you see the task pane has moved into chart object formatting. So now you can kind of do your chart manipulations you kind of expect with respect to Excel. And there's this the task panes are kind of stacked, and you can kind of get a very good workflow if you want to go back to your formula builder versus the format data series. Okay, next is get data. So, what we built in 2016 is you have an inbuilt ODBC data connector. And so this kind of helps you connect with the ODBC data connectors. Very simple experience, very similar to your Windows experience. But also moving forward, our roadmap is to really get this to what you see in Windows today, which is around get and transform and Power Query kind of experiences. So that's kind of a roadmap for Mac Excel of how we can get Power Query kind of data connection experiences in the future. Tons of new form. Yeah, go ahead.
With this Power Query or get data connections between Excel 2016 and the Mac later on work in the same manner so that people can share it, or when you integrate Power Query or the M engine into Excel, will this be a consistent thing so that people can share it? Or
yeah. The goal is to be very, very consistent, and all of the connectors that we will build will be Mac specific, but the experience in terms of, where you run the Power Query, you have various steps, you can undo, you can redo, you have the query editor, very similar experiences, and it should work cross-platform. Yeah. No time frame around that. So one of the things about, when we go back to user voice, a lot of the Power Star, like Power Pivot, Power Query, all of these are top asked items in our user voice. But also there's a tremendous amount of work and the most complex components. And given the difference that we have with respect to the Windows platform and the OS X platform, it's a very, very time-consuming process. And plus there's all the sandboxing requirements that you have on OS X, which we have to kind of deal with as well. So not really, but we are pretty transparent on user voice. When we have an exact date and roadmap, we'll kind of present that and let you know on user voice. So, okay, a lot of new formulas we added. So basically all of Excel 2013 Windows formulas are now in Mac 2016. So we caught up to the gap and have all 2013 formulas supported, which means the object model, your VBA, can access all of those functions for 2013 as well. Pivot table, obviously we had pivot table, but now we have much more in-depth views around, like top customer requests. Like for example, some people like it in outline form, others like it in compact form. So this is kind of a very, widely used BI tool by analysts. And there was a lot of feedback, like we want kind of just general layout options, and also there's a ton of other options around banded rows, columns, and all of that available. And then finally, we have recommended charts in Mac Excel. So if you go, say recommended charts, and you can pick one, and there you have that functionality there. So this is kind of just catching up to what again is in the Windows world. So those are the main things that, can we move back to, excuse me, the phone? Yep, so those are some of the main things that we have shipped in 2016, which was last year. And after that, we have been updating Mac on a monthly basis. And so we heard from a lot of you saying we need customizable QAT, which is quick access toolbar. And so we built that. There's some issues around scrolling, especially with respect to Excel, and so we fixed that. There's more fixes coming, so this is kind of, like I said, a roadmap moving forward, which we are very transparent about. Is we are going to go build a 64-bit version, so that's coming to you very soon. RTL is right to left, so that's coming up for the various language support, and then new VBE, so fully functional Visual Basic Editor functionality is also coming very soon. Questions? Yep.
When you said UVB, will it support cross-platform macros as well?
Yeah. So today, currently, the macros from Windows are supported in Mac. There are some bugs because we move the 2011 macros compared to 2016 is in a sandbox environment, and so we run into a lot of bugs with the platform OS X itself. So as customers are moving over their macros from 2011 to 2016, we have some bugs that we discovered and we try to fix those. And then Windows macros also is the same thing. It's like some of them just work, some of them we realize there are bugs and we kind of keep fixing those. So yeah. Yep. All of that should just work, yeah. So the VBE is basically, today you have a Visual Basic Editor, but it is very limited in functionality. And you want to get it to the full functionality that the customers have requested for, and the one that is supported in Windows. So we want to get to that full level of support. Yeah, but the key thing is, because we have a limited kind of test collateral of how we can test from how many macros or add-ins, so we are not able to catch all the bugs and issues out there. And so if you or somebody in your organization is running into some VBA macro issues not running on Mac, add-ins that need to be supported, let us know. Again, exceluservoice.com is a good forum. And then we kind of really work closely with that customer to look into that issue. Is it a thing that needs to be fixed in the add-in, it needs to be fixed with the platform, or is it our code in Excel that needs to be fixed? So it's kind of a pretty complicated area that we need help if we have bugs and issues that customers are running into. Yep.
So web add-ins, does that mean web add-ins already available? Does that mean like what used to call Agave?
Yes, exactly.
Will work in
Yep.
2016 for Mac?
Yep. So all the Office add-ins that you saw in the keynote demo earlier today, Olaf was showing some of the add-ins. Those are now supported in Mac Excel. Yeah. Okay, so moving on to Excel Online. As I mentioned, there's a deep dive session tomorrow. So if you want to go get a deep dive, I encourage you to attend that. I'll give a quick overview. So Excel Online is everywhere. It's available in the cloud with Office 365 and Power BI, and then it's also with a lot of third-party hosts as well as on-prem. So it's kind of available everywhere. Two key things to note here. So first, the value to you using Excel Online is it's the best app out there for sharing, publishing with Power BI, as you saw some of those demos in the keynote, and also collaboration. How many people know that Excel Online supports co-authoring? Oh, quite a few. But so basically, Excel Online is the only platform where multiple users can work on the same spreadsheet and collaborate and co-author. And so that's kind of the beginning of our co-authoring story in Excel, again, which has a long roadmap, and Excel Online is the first platform to offer that. The next thing to note is the on-prem features are aligned with the cloud features of Excel Online. So that's great news for customers, is because this is now not just an on-prem, once in a while kind of update. It's an evergreen release that we're moving towards. And so whatever value that we deliver on Excel Online is available for on-prem customers to leverage along with the cloud customers. So it's a great story for customers to use any of this backend infrastructure that you want to, and yet you get the benefit of all the new Excel Online features. So that's kind of key to remember. So we have simplified some of our terminology and taxonomy. Everything in 2016 is, if you have an on-prem instantiation, it's your Office Online server, which powers everything, and then Excel Online is supported along with Word and PowerPoint Online. And then on the cloud, it's Office Online and then Excel Online. The other thing, we are seeing a lot of adoption with students and consumers is Office Online today is available for free. So Office is pretty much available for free on the web. So if you go to excel.office.com or powerpoint.office.com, and if you have a Microsoft account, you can just get started. So please tell the world that there is Office free available on the web, and you can make use of, and it's fully functional and fully featured Office that you experience on the web. There's some delta with respect to the desktop clients, but not many users run into it. So it's kind of the fully featured Office available to you for free online. Okay. We support quite a few hosts, the SharePoint, all the Microsoft hosts, Hotmail, and then a ton of work has been done by the team to support third-party hosts. So from Dropbox to Box and in Salesforce and more to come. And so it's kind of everywhere, just like this title of the session is. And then, so monthly, not monthly updates, but a regular cadence updates are there for Excel Online. So top features like search and filters was most requested feature, value field settings. A lot of these are, kind of coming online on a regular basis. Okay, so that's for Excel Online. Any questions before I move into the mobile devices? Yep.
With Excel on-premise, you could have development tools to create user-defined functions.
Uh-huh.
And that's been missing, I think, so far with Office 365. It doesn't support, creating your own formulas. So I was just wondering if there was any news on that.
Ellie, do you have an update on that? User-defined functions?
User-defined functions, stuff that you have right now in Excel Online?
No, it's just com.net, and so far I don't believe it's supported in the online.
Most of it is not yet coming through. It will come to the online. Most of it is not available yet.
Yeah.
But there is work right now.
All right, thanks.
Okay, and yeah, feel free, because I'm sure it's in the top requests, or maybe it's in the top requests on Excel User Voice. So the way that works is when you go to exceluservoice.com, you kind of upvote your requests, and the top requests bubble up to the top, and then we kind of use that along with other research that we do with customer studies and competitive analysis. So we kind of take all of these factors in when planning for our next milestone. Okay, so moving into Office experiences for mobile devices. With the same look and feel, the goal is how do you optimize for the device to the best possible extent, right? Like we want to enable really fast and fluid experiences, delightful experiences, so that users can complete their tasks quickly, they can complete their scenarios quickly, and really I think what we have learned through our user research and after having released a lot of these apps is you will be more productive than you think. It's kind of, that's what we have realized is with all the scenarios that we are enabling and the workflows is just what we get feedback from customers, and it's just mind-boggling to see like how they thought they were not productive and they actually being productive. So what do I mean by that? So when we were starting out on this journey, we were like, okay, what are the device capabilities, what are the scenarios, what are customers doing with mobile devices, and how do we come up with the vision kind of framework so that as we move forward, we can make sure our features align to this vision, and we are enabling users to get their tasks completed quickly or efficiently in a way that they feel accomplished. And that's a great goal because then they keep coming back to the apps. So when it comes to a couple of those, like packing up for the ride home, more on the consumption, and last minute scramble, kind of a review scenario. For Excel, it's scenarios like, hey, I want to quickly look at my Excel spreadsheet, be able to zoom in, zoom out, look at data quickly, sort, filter very quickly, and then also visually, explore my data. So there's the rich formatting that you get on your mobile devices, like conditional formatting, your charts, everything is available. And so how do you quickly visualize the data, explore, and get your reviews and consumption kind of scenarios enabled? The other thing, like lightweight editing. So this is something that we really think like, okay, if you want to do a quick lightweight editing and enter some comments, how do we make that scenario come true very quickly and very efficiently for customers? So in that light, for example, a couple of months ago, we released a very key scenario where if you get Excel email attachments in Outlook, you can open it, you can edit it right there with quick comments or edit. You don't need to save it anywhere or anything like that, and Outlook does that for you. It saves the changes, and you're ready to hit send. So you get email attachments, do a couple of comments, edits, hit send, and it's back to that, whoever sent you that email or wherever you want to send that email to. So just that workflow, right? Like now I don't have to get an email attachment, download it, save it, make updates, attach it, and then send it back. It's all like 10 steps, and now it's like 2 steps. So that's kind of how we think about enabling productivity scenarios in the mobile devices. So I'll do a quick demo of that so you can see some of this for yourself. So this is my iPad Pro, huge device now. And as I said, like you can get the all experiences in terms of reviewing your data. So we support full fidelity of all Office documents on all devices. So whether it's a phone or iPad, you get the same. There's no items missing, no objects missing. You get the same fidelity experience as well as compatibility experience. So you can get table experiences, as I mentioned, if you want to do quick consumption, and you can sort and filter. And kind of do more things here. Then there's a pivot table where you can kind of, as you can see, like very quickly get some quick insights about your data. So you have insights on the go. A lot of this, again, all of this functionality is pretty intuitive and available for you to use. For pivot table, as you can see, there's quite a depth of functionality in terms of layout options, style options, and pivot table styles. So all in all, like you can actually get quite good at getting some of these quick insights and reviewing the data. The other thing is, so for example, now if I want to create, insert a chart, again, you have a quick workflow of inserting, recommended chart, and you can see some insights there. And last month we just enabled, or 2 months ago we enabled the pen interaction, and so you can pick a pen interaction there and kind of highlights as you highlight the key things that you want to point out or present, and then you can, there's kind of a fancy color palette there that you can pick, and then you can kind of do some other pointers that you want to kind of really present to the audience. So again, rich functionality coming to life in Excel. We are making a lot of innovation in the area of pen. A lot of this is kind of PowerPoint and presentation functionality, but again, we are looking at Excel use cases and scenarios like formulas, like students can write formulas with their pen. How do we automatically detect that and put that into a format that Excel can understand? So those are the innovations that we are thinking about moving forward, and this is kind of just the beginning. The other thing about iPad Pro is they have enabled multitasking, so you can have side by side. And say, suppose you want to, you're doing a presentation, so eventually you want to put your chart here, so you just copy and then come to PowerPoint. And you get your chart here, and then you're ready to go, and then you can kind of keep looking at the 2 documents side by side. So that's another one that we worked very closely with Apple, and we were one of the first productivity apps to take advantage of the multitasking feature of iOS to enable this. Then, so the other thing about, like as I said, you have the whole, like as BI analysts and professionals, there's the whole slew of all the formulas available, so you can get all the formula experiences you want. And then we did quite a few innovations in the actuals. If you see this 1, 2, 3 here, we have made it very easy, like it's a formula keyboard, specific keyboard. So we studied how users use build formulas, what are the common used keys, and based on that research and studies, we built this kind of customized keyboard where you can kind of type in your formulas very quickly and become efficient very quickly. This has kind of landed very well with customers, especially people who use a lot of the formulas, and so we are kind of very pleased with some of the innovation here. Okay, so back to my phone here. So then again, we do some optimizations for the device specific. So for example, we know, okay, let's see. Yep. So this is kind of the phone form factor, and so we got feedback. There's too much commanding bar on ribbon at the bottom, at the top and at the bottom, and so there is this kind of that arrow that expands. You can just press that, and so you can just kind of get the full screen view of just the data, and so you can just kind of review the data, and obviously you can kind of get more details around that. And if you want to exit out of that mode, you can just click here. Another quick innovation that we've done is like, hey, if you want to kind of select data for that particular column there, people are used to keyboard shortcuts to do, Control-Shift-Enter. How do you do that on a mobile device? So we came up with this idea like, okay, you just kind of touch that part, that circle there, and just flick it down. So if I just flick it down, it automatically detects that's the kind of the last data entry and captures that. And then you can do, it's already the context menus out there. So if you want to copy, clear, or what have you, that kind of becomes very easy to do. So so some of this, and then you can do the horizontal scroll. So it detects until where you have the data, and then you can kind of get that gestures used. Okay, so some few things that we have done interesting in this area. And so yes, so I just covered a lot of the features that we shipped here: integration with Outlook, multitasking on iOS 9, inking. And then similar things are happening on the other platforms too. So if you go look at Android, right, is like this is their recent updates, and these are the upcoming updates. So as you can see, the pace with which we are innovating and getting features enabled at every endpoint or on every platform is just mind-boggling. And the same thing for Windows apps, Universal. I won't go into the details, but you get an idea of how you're enabling all these features there. And then finally, one quick thing here. So if you have a Windows 10 phone, some of the models, if you connect to your PC, you can actually get the full PC experience via your phone, and so it enables some productivity scenarios on your phone that you had never imagined before. Okay, so having said that, what's next for us? So I'll give a quick view of how we are thinking about these scenarios, how we bring value to you as our customers, either in BI features or just general usability kind of features, and making the most out of the device. So we do a lot of research, study a lot of the market trends. So this is a eMarketer report here, and basically talks about the device, device usage trends and the user segments. So right at the center, you have the desktop office users with primary, PC being their primary device, which is, somewhere in that 850 million. 950 million is something, and the mobile first is where the user segments actually use both devices based on the task at hand. And then at the outermost ring there, which is mobile only. So this is kind of the emerging trend where a lot of customers are having mobile as their first device and the only device. And so that's interesting for us because the key thing with this user segment is they have no preconceived notions of how productivity apps should look like or feel like or how they use it. So that gives us a lot of freedom, especially on the Office and Excel side, to kind of innovate in terms of user experiences and the functionality we provide there. Again, some kind of how the computing hours in a day has shifted, so some trends there. And then this is kind of a key, some key insights that we got as we started studying a lot of our users, is there's a perception of the desktop document, and that perception changes dramatically when it comes to the mobile devices. So like when it comes from comprehensive to concise, long to quick. And so if you think about it, step back, and obviously we all know this because we all use mobile devices, but we want to do things quickly, very concisely, but we want to do it in an end-to-end manner, right? Like we want to finish the task, get it done, and like I said, get more productive than you thought you would be. So that's kind of one of the principles that we kind of starting to look at going to mobile-only kind of scenarios. The next thing is pictures, videos, camera, location sensor. So the experience on mobile devices is simplified, but we want to make sure we take the full advantage of those device capabilities, from camera to location to GPS to sensors and all of that, and how do we build it into the product. So, and then final thing that we've learned for mobile apps is customers are pretty fickle-minded. Like they can move from one app to another app very quickly. And so even if you do all of this, but if you don't have engaging features, they will not come back to your app. And app retention is pretty key for productivity apps if you want to grow your user base. And so you do all this, but you want to kind of enable certain features that get them excited or involved or engaged. And so that kind of something that we kind of keep looking at. How do we do that on a regular basis compared to desktop? It doesn't have to be exciting every other month. But for mobile, if it's exciting, you'll get a lot of users back. So in addition to all the user research and insights, we also get a lot of telemetry data. That's kind of what my new role is. And so we look at that and say, like, what are the trends that we are seeing? And so there's a lot of structured data that's coming in. So if you see workbooks with table formats, opened in iPad with quite a few high percentages. This is kind of a few months old data, but Android now is grown significantly. So we're kind of looking at like, okay, this is kind of the structured data coming in. And these are some of the new, not new, but these are the UI experiences that you have in the apps today, the mobile apps. And so if you step back and think about it, right, like there's a lot of structured data, there's a lot of new UI innovation, and what if Excel can take advantage of this? And we have always been the grid-based app that users love, and so we want to kind of support that, but is there something that more we can do with respect to our UI experiences so that we can get more users engaged, involved, and they really love our apps. So that's kind of one research and analysis we're doing for the next set of mobile experiences. Mobile first controls, I showed you like how we did the flick, the full screen. We're thinking about pan and zoom. Quite a few mobile first controls that we want to enable, even if it's like the grid experience. And like I said, there's we did the customized keyboard experiences for mobile devices. And then lastly, as I mentioned, we're looking at like how does Excel make use of the actual device capabilities of scanning things from the camera or sensing things, and how do you collect that data in a structured way, and how Excel can make the best use of those device capabilities. So those were the kind of the areas that we are kind of thinking about moving forward. It's a very exciting phase. You saw the opportunity that we have in front of us. We want to keep users productive, but also want to kind of innovate in terms of our engagement and features and UI. And so we are like at Microsoft, and especially in Excel, super excited to see what we'll provide to customers in the next coming years. Okay, with that, I'm done. So product feedback, I've mentioned that enough. There's also this really good edX course, which was the top 10 edX course in the last year, and it has had great reviews. So if anybody in your organization or anybody in your circle, encourage them to kind of go to this training course. It's absolutely one of the best training courses out there, and we are promoting pretty heavily because you can get started and get quite a few good skills with this edX course. And it kind of, it's funny, it's like if you look at the top 10 courses, this is kind of the MIT and Stanford effort. it's like Python and other HTML and Java, and then you have Excel. That's the only tool and product out there compared to other programming languages. So we are pretty proud of this course, and it's free. So we hope all our customers take advantage of that. And there's quite a few things. Like I said, Blogs has our Excel file, the Mac Excel file. You can try Office 2016. Trial is available for Office 365 users. There's community, and then there's Facebook and Twitter. And all of these slides will be shared after the presentation, so you should be having those links with you. Okay. Anything else? Any questions? Yep.
One of the things that really solves the challenge of doing input on a mobile device, especially little ones, is voice.
Yep.
And can you comment on things you might be considering regarding voice and Cortana and so forth?
Yeah. So I missed that. Like in terms of the device capabilities and also the natural interaction models like the ink and the voice. We're just starting to talk to the Cortana team to see what scenarios kind of really make sense with respect to Excel. And we have brainstormed a few ideas there, and we'll see what kind of pans out. But that's kind of, like I said, looking at the device capabilities, these natural interaction models like voice or touch or ink, how do you make these come together in a way that's very useful for customers, because you can just add that functionality, but if it doesn't work for the customers, they don't like it anymore. So you have to make it come together really nicely. So, yeah.
Question. You talked about co-authoring.
Yeah.
Have you thought of putting co-authoring based on, say for example, my Excel sheet has got like 10 columns, and one of my guys out there in the field, he just does 2 of the columns are related to him. So I just want him to be able to just edit those 2 columns. It's like I kind of a editing capabilities to the end users.
Yeah, I think that's a very good question, because that's something that we run into. Like customers really like co-auth, and then there's some customer segments like BI folks, analysts, like, don't touch my model, don't touch don't touch all of this because it will mess up and I don't know how to fix it. So we have that kind of varying range of customer segments and usage scenarios. What we have done in the product, it's not directly enabling the scenario that you talked about, but for every action that any user does, we have the concept of revision record. So that kind of keeps track of what is happening in the spreadsheet based on every user using the spreadsheet. So that kind of gives you an idea of, and then there's a revision record history page where you can go look at as what has happened and being able to get back to the state that you want it to be. So today, I think it's not enabled, but there's also, you can lock some cells, you can lock some, worksheet protection you can do. Those are the things that we are still looking at, of how does worksheet protection work, or column or cell protection work in a co-auth scenario, and maybe that's kind of how you would kind of look at it. So, okay, anything else? Okay, great. Thank you so much for your time. Okay.